Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 718, the Staten Island episode of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, coming at you from what we call Whisper Rooms here at the Flow Sports headquarters, joined by David Bray, Ben Askren, and we are shooting a reality TV series on Flow Grappling, and that's why we're kicked out today from our studio. We weren't kicked out though. We granted them access to our. We're being good stewards.
Sure.
Man, we got kicked out. It's okay though. One day we can do it from the Whisper Rooms. Ben, what's going on? How are you feeling?
I'm excited. We had a full weekend of college wrestling. I was telling my kids on Sunday, like, man, we didn't even get this last year. We had conference weekend. We got NCAAs. That was it. Mini tournaments. We got a bunch of tournaments already in, so I was very happy.
Yes, 100%. And there was a ton of action. We're going to get to it. Right off the top, Ben, what were there any results or standout performances that?
Yeah, Nick Feldman surprised me. I didn't think he was that good. He beat who did he beat now? He beat
Zach Knight and Ward.
Kingston Ward. Knight and Ward from Hofstra. Let's see who else was good. I thought the Michigan State 133 bracket was kind of fun. That was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Wick looked really good, which I was happy about because obviously I like him. He hammered a couple pretty good guys. Let's see who else. You tell me, who are you excited by?
Well, Madrigal stuck out at 133 for Michigan State.
Yeah.
I think of if you're crowning a wrestler of the week, it's him, because you look at, he beat three guys all ranked higher than him, including two All-Americans. He goes through Ragusin, he goes through Lucas Bird, and then Rayvon Foley. All super, super gritty, tough matches where they were. I don't know if you got to watch matches or not yet, Ben, but basically every match came down to the wire, and he was like either fending off a takedown or getting a late score. Really close matches. And so Madrigal goes from 23 to someone who enters, the second or third tier at 133, at least in our perception, beating guys like Lucas Bird, who was kind of a standout last year. And so the question for Madrigal, and in my mind, and Oklahoma was kind of a story here for the weekend. They had some really strong performances. They had three champs at MSU, I believe: Madrigal, Woodley, and one other. Oh, Joey Prada. Shout out. Virginia's own Joey Prada. And so for Madrigal, it's if you're wondering, okay, is this sustainable? He's got to find a way to separate, because these matches are like sort of coin flip, and like, is he gonna be able to do this on a continual basis? But a lot of stuff that works for him, he has a high attack rate, and he can attack without getting reattacked pretty well. He can hang on the leg if he doesn't get the finish. He's really tough to score on in scrambles. Guys could get in, and he could find ways to either extend the position, get stalemates. Yeah. I was overall,
my kids were really loving that Shin Wizard leg pass combo he was doing.
Yes. Yeah, it was really nice. He hit a really good, I forget if it was Foley or Ragusin, he hit a really nice one against, but it definitely bailed him out of a really tough position. So yeah, he looked really good, and certainly raised his own stock, probably more than any single wrestler. Nick Feldman was, I don't know if I'll say a revelation, because I guess I'm not. The margin of victory definitely surprised me, but him beating someone like Zachary Knight and Ward, I would have thought was a definite possibility. But there were a couple of high schoolers in action. We had Nick Feldman, who was undefeated, but he
did well.
Yeah, Caleb Henson kind of ran through the Southeast Open at Virginia Tech, and he's got a year before he'll be there.
Yeah, he had one early match though. He had a 4-3 match earlier in the tournament, but then he kind of blew his guys out in the semis, the finals, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
I guess him against. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, you can finish that one because I had a different thought. I'm all over the place.
I wish you would have seen Caleb Henson against an NCAA qualifier level guy like we did with Feldman. That was the one thing we didn't get. But as far as just college guys who've been in the room working out, he looked good against everyone in front of him.
Yeah, I think I won't make too much of it, but hey, we need Penn State needs someone to fill their 25, 65 spot, 49 spot with point scores, and so they had three freshmen this weekend. So I think a lot of people were eagerly watching them. And I don't want to say they didn't pass the test, but none of them were like, boom, they got it, right? You don't feel that way about any of those guys, I don't think, coming out of the weekend. Maybe they'll develop in the next 3 months. I know I did as a freshman, so I don't want to write them off, but I don't want maybe disappointing. What do you think about that?
Are you referring to Steen, Facundo, and Shane Van Ness?
Yes, correct.
Well, I thought Van Ness looked fantastic, like a superstar. He just won 2 matches
Yeah.
and left. So I think
So he
feel
didn't
good
wrestle the
about
thing.
him.
Okay.
Steen, they're in trouble at 125 unless Robbie Howard wrestles for them. Steen's not going to be a solution for this year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not writing the kid off for his career, but the jumps that he's going to have to make to be a productive D1 starter are tremendous. Now Facundo, I look at his loss, I'm like, man, that is just like a vintage true freshman loss. He was all over John Martin Best. He couldn't quite get the finish. If it happens in March, you'll be like, okay, I think he would probably win that match. But it was just a common match. I think if he wins that tournament, we're probably looking at Facundo pretty differently, wouldn't you say? And John Martin.
How was Martin Best last year?
Well, I'm not looking at him any different.
So last year, Martin Best didn't wrestle. He went to Air Force Prep, and now this year he's at Maryland. He made the finals, obviously beating Facundo, and then he lost to Peyton Hall in the finals.
Yeah. So, he lost to Peyton Hall. Yeah. So if he beat Peyton Hall was that was a match I was really looking forward to seeing. I like Peyton Hall a lot. Shout out to the Fighting Brackies. But yeah, is he going to come in? This isn't Mark Hall, right? This isn't a guy that's probably going to come in and win a title. Then again, Mark Hall lost his first college tournament to CJ Brucky, who I don't think ever even placed at NCAAs. So it can happen. It can happen in that room. And I just I don't think you overreact to that, but I think there's progress to be made there for 165, and we'll see if he ends up even being the guy for them. I think he is probably their best 65, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at these guys as. Like, if they want to compete with Iowa, they need to score points at these positions. And, that wasn't, like I said, that wasn't a performance where you're like, oh, shoot, that's the dude. I mean, because sometimes, like with the Nick Feldman, if he say he's a true freshman, right, you see him compete, you're like, wow. I didn't really. He can go. Who can't he go with right now? And obviously heavyweight, we have some really heavy hitters at the top. But the rest of the guys, like, man, Nick Feldman might be able to be top 10 this year at heavyweight.
Yeah. It's not like when we saw Starocci at the Scuffle, we were crowning
that one. That was a good one.
We haven't seen that with these guys at this point. And speaking of heavy hitters scoring points and what Penn State needs to do to win a title, that was a focal point of their media day yesterday when Aaron Brooks and Coach Cale Sanderson were talking about the need for bonus points and sort of the lapses they had, I guess you could say, last year, comparatively speaking, to their normal bonus point production. And, Aaron Brooks and other members of the team basically reinforcing like that's got to be an area where we're improved in for us to win a national title. So it's definitely on their radar. I guess something Dave and I were talking about before the show was how much in college wrestling can you say I'm making this a focus and I can do that and become just a bonus point scorer? Or how much is it like you look at Logan Sieber, David Taylor, these kind of guys, they've been scoring bonus points throughout their entire careers, they don't just turn that switch in college and become dominant turners like David Taylor's been doing that.
Zane did, for example. We talked about Zane the other day because Zane was not – I know he's a true freshman. I get it as a true freshman, but he was not a turner at all. He's actually, in my opinion, that year he was relatively boring on top. He was, had a great leg grab, but kind of like a backpack, and then totally transformed himself 2 years later. So I'd say, hey, if you're a 15th ranked guy, you're right, Christian. I don't know if this is something you could just say, flip the switch and go. But if you're a national champion already, which a couple of these guys are, you can definitely make that push. And it's really just probably an improvement in a couple positions. And, one of the things I find that with all great bonus point scores is like there's this desire to get it. And so there's so many transitionary points where it's like takedown, boom, turn, right? A takedown, oh, they got a cradle. And then boom, boom, right? And all of a sudden you're scoring a whole bunch more points. So I think, with guys on that level, you can make that emphasis for sure.
Yeah, well, I think Zayn is probably an outlier. I don't know if we've ever seen something quite like that before. One, two, he had a ton of top acumen already as a high school wrestler and as a true freshman. He was winning a lot of matches with mat work, albeit a lot of it without turns. So I think that makes a easier transition. Whereas guys like Aaron and Carter are just dominant neutral wrestlers that just they win the takedown battle and you can't ride them, and therefore they win. And for them, can they make that transition to the next level of bonus point transcendence?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like I said, that takedown off turn, like when you really start pressing the action, and then the other thing is like you find these pathways once you get better at it. So if I mean, obviously, are they going to get elite at it in 1 year? No, but could they get a little more better, or a little better than they were? Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I'm not expecting them to come out and be like Ed Ruth and David Taylor, but could they be better than they were? And I think the answer is yes.
And so I think this is something our contributor Travis Johnson, he's our Penn State correspondent, he wrote about this. A couple stats that are like crazy to me in his article. In 2019, all of Penn State's starters, their bonus rate as a team, as a group, was 45%. Their starters won 45% of their matches by bonus points. That's crazy.
Wow.
The whole team.
Yeah.
Last year, only 3 guys on the team had more than 1 pin. And those guys were Bo Bartlett, Kirk Fleet, and Joe Lee. Nobody else had more than 1 pin.
Yeah, that's sort of wild to think about. And I think one thing I remember, and I saw this a lot last year, and I don't know if it was just with Penn State guys. I think it was just a thing. Guys would get a takedown early in the first period, and they would just ride. There were some Iowa guys doing this a lot, where I'm like, man, if you let this guy up and get some more, maybe it was Kimmer. I can't remember.
That's terrible. So you got to tenderize them. That's such a waste of time. If you're that good and you're not a great turner, taking them down and riding them for getting bonus is terrible. I mean, it's really, really bad strategy. You got to tenderize them a little bit, work them over.
And that's coming from you.
Absolutely. I mean, Liz, that's the whole point is you gotta kind of make them hate their life. You got to make them not want to be there. You got to make them angry where they're doing stupid shit, where they know they shouldn't be. And if they can go out of the first period down 2-0 or 2-1, they're pumped. Like you got to really put it on them. Make it 6-2, 8-3, and then they make a mistake, and boom, all of a sudden they're on their back.
Yeah, I think if I'm, one of these guys, an elite national title contender, but I'm really trying to up my bonus points. This is coaching with Christian Piles, but man, getting those, not being satisfied with just racking up 2.5 minutes of riding time, but get those takedowns. The riding time, you will accumulate over a minute of riding time if you're dominating 100%. The takedown battle. So it's sort of, it's pointless to work that hard for a point.
Yeah, I generally think unless you're uber elite on top, you get an early takedown in the first period, riding for a very extended period of time is really not a good idea. Bonus points are not, right? Because say you get a takedown, there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on top, you're not very good. The chances you're going to get called for a stalling or something like that, the chances your forearms are going to get really tired because you're not that good on top, or go way up. So it's like, man, get 30, 45 seconds. And if it's hard to ride, then let the guy go. Unless for whatever reason, he's way better than you. And if he gets neutral, he's going to take you down, then maybe don't do it. But if you are like slightly better than him on his feet, get 30, 45 seconds on the ride time, let him go, and then get after him again.
Yeah. Other pieces of information from Penn State Media Day. Kale confirmed Bo Bartlett going to be the 49 this year. There was some question.
Oh, really?
Would he redshirt? He just flat out said Bo Bartlett's going 49. So he'll be the guy there this year. Obviously, everyone knows I like Bo Bartlett. I'm excited to watch him this year. Full year at 149. What can he do? Is he going to be full size? I don't know. But he's pretty freaking good. Junior world medalist. Tough guy. But he's another one, really, really good wrestler, really good on his feet. Yeah. But can he get those turns? Can he get the pins that they're gonna need to get up there with Iowa? That's gonna be the question. Yeah. He can win a lot of matches, but can he have that separation? And then to me, the biggest news was Roman Bravo Young saying this is his last year. And that is, and he says that, and I believe that that's what Roman wants to do. But I'm also going to say, I think Kale will have his say in that too, and he will. Listen, Kale's a great recruiter.
I get it. I get it.
It's not just of high school kids. He's talked to a lot of guys. You know, Kassar back in the day. You know, he did not want to come back. He came back, and he hurt his shoulder. But I think there's going to be a lot of reasons for Roman to stay next year. And if I'm a Penn State fan, maybe it is his last year, so you should definitely appreciate it because there's only one RBY. But I would say the door is not completely shut on him coming back.
Because what's he going to do? I mean, if he fights, they haven't had made gym now. If he wants to wrestle internationally, that's the place to be. He ain't leaving State College.
You wouldn't think,
right?
And
no,
and next year it depends how there's still a whole season to go, right? And I think for Roman, it's like, well, fortunately, it's not a decision you make. It's a decision you can, after NCAAs and see where the dust settles. Maybe he wins again and Penn State wins a team title and it's like, boom, that's the perfect way to go out. Or maybe who knows what's going to happen. But the bottom line is, if he doesn't come back, it is, I don't want to be hyperbolic and say it's devastating, but I mean, you lose a national champion and there's not someone waiting in the wings that's ready to win a national title at 133.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Robbie Howard moves up to 133, but at this point, I don't know that he's a national title contender right now. I think Robbie Howard is really good, but he's been injured and we haven't really got to see the full thing. So either way, it hurts. And Penn State is going to be better next year if it's Robbie and Roman to kick off the lineup as opposed to Gary Steen and Robbie Howard.
Yeah. No, I thought that was huge news. I also would not I don't want to say I put too much stock in it, but like when I look at his career path, now I don't know this guy at all. Maybe he's a software engineer and he wants to go start a Bitcoin firm. I don't know what he wants to do with his life, but he seems like a guy who's all in on combat. So he's probably gonna go fight or gonna keep wrestling. One of the two is gonna happen, and if he's gonna do one of those two things, he's probably gonna stay in State College. So listen, Kale's probably like, okay, yeah, whatever, haha. Yeah, do your thing, Roman. And then, he's going to let him have all next offseason. And then, like, August comes around. And he's like, hey, Roman, how about, you're here. You're living here. Come on, let's just wrestle like 10 matches and go win another national title. How about that? Right?
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
He's still pretty connected in Arizona. And I wouldn't rule out him training somewhere in Arizona for MMA.
Really? With Team Cejudo?
Maybe. I'm trying to remember the guy who he's connected with a lot.
Tom Ortiz?
I can't remember right now.
Al Barrison?
I can't remember right now. Is maybe Dominic Cruz? I'm not sure.
No, Cruz. Well, Cruz was from Tucson, but I think he's in San Diego right now.
Okay.
So I guess that makes sense because Roman's was from Tucson also.
Yeah, man. So, but I don't know. I know he's looking at options for sure.
The fights this weekend were amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I was like on the fence.
You never stay up that late, Christian. You never.
But you know what? Well, you're right. But we had the bonus hour of sleep.
Hour.
Then I didn't have to be at the early service for church, so it was like a confluence of factors made everything align, and it was perfect.
Yeah,
so fun to watch.
Your kids are old enough where you actually get the bonus hour again because my buddy Gerald, he's a fighter. And he came and watched the fights, and he's like, "Yeah, daylight savings tomorrow." I said, "Listen, Gerald, I don't want to burst your bubble here, but you got a 6-month-old. That 6-month-old, they don't know about daylight savings. They're asking me waking up crying in the morning. You're gonna have to get up."
Yep. No 6-month-old. So that was great.
Up.
But amazing fights. The Gaethje Chandler fight was just
so ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous. Yeah.
Jinx. It was wild. Jinx.
Okay. Other Penn State stuff. Carter Starocci might be nuts. This guy.
Why? What is
in multiple interviews, Kale has talked about I think he said on one occasion he's the hardest worker he's ever been around. And this occasion he's like, yeah, we got to throttle this guy back and get him out of the room kind of guy. He just must be just so obsessed with winning and getting really good. Yeah. It's really evident. I mean, this dude just beat Jason Nolf in freestyle. He's So they've got good
Bo Nichols
leadership
said that
there.
to me too. Said something like, Bo was visiting a friend here, and I was grilling him. And he said, "Yeah, Carter, he works too hard." I'm like, I roll. Penn State guy saying guys work too hard.
Why I roll?
Just because, like, especially for me, especially at that age. So Carter would have been, we're talking about 18, 19, maybe 20 at this time. Listen, you got all the energy in the world. You could just go all day long. I remember when I was 18, I was 18, 19, 20, I'm wrestling all the time because, like, you're 18, 19, 20, you don't get sore, you don't get tired, you just go, 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 go. You know, you could do that. Now you get to 30 or something, you got to slow it down a little bit. But when they're that young, man, let them go.
Yeah, and go he does.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much the most significant. You know, Kale was non-committal about the weights that he can't commit in, like 25. I don't know those yet. 57, 65, still unknowns, but 33, 41, 49 with Bo, and then 74 up is pretty well established. 97 is a consideration with Max and Beard, but I just feel like it's going to be Max Dean when the dust settles. So that'll be but that'll have to play out. And Kale mentioned that Beard upped his game since Max arrived, so that's so it should be a fun battle to watch. It's just hard to envision Max Dean on the bench.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but it's hard, I mean, if Beard got better, it's kind of hard to imagine him on the bench also, right?
It is. And this
I got an idea, Christian. I got an idea. Ready for my idea?
Hit me. Yeah.
Starocci 65, Brooks 74, Beard 84. You in or what?
No,
It seems like a decent idea. Seems like a good idea.
One of your worst ideas. Those guys can't make those weights.
Wimps, why can't they cut more weight? It's all mental.
It's all mental. Okay, Ben, I'm gonna hold you to that. Okay, so that's that on the Penn State Media Day. Were there any nuggets I missed, Bray, before we move on?
No, the RBY thing was the biggest to me, and like I said, I take it with a grain of salt that when that decision comes, he'll think more.
The other between the lines thing that's worth paying attention to is they were talking about 125, and Kale mentioned there's a bunch of guys, a bunch of different options, but there was a little line in there, a little quote in the article that said something along the lines of, actually I have it right here. Kale said, I think every program probably checks the transfer portal every day, which, you know, that may be that may become a pretty big factor. You know, obviously Nick Suriano still lingers out there. And I don't know if that's Kale saying, yeah, we're definitely talking to him and thinking about him and all that kind of thing. But that was the other big question for me. I was like, man, will there be any little inkling or indication that they might have somebody else come in mid-year? And that door is still open.
Yeah, the door is open because Nick hasn't decided yet, but you know, it remains to be seen where Nick's now. So hopefully we'll find that out sooner rather than later. I would imagine the next couple of weeks we'll have a decision from Nick Suriano. I don't know if he'll go to Penn State though. Well, we will see. Okay.
Could Nick announce live on FRL?
That would be awesome. That's a good goal. Ben. Maybe so.
We gotta have goals on.
By the way, I've heard. Hey, one thing I've heard from multiple people that Beard is putting it on Dean in the room, and I just got another text from another person with that same report. It's just like people continue to say that from all over the place. So I mean, I don't know. Take that for what it means. And I know you already kind of discussed.
Who texted you?
I'm not going to tell you who texted me. I'm not going to reveal my source, but
I'm texting my sources.
I've heard it from multiple people.
Yeah, I actually was hearing that as well, but I refuse to think Max Dean won't be the starter when it's all said and done.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Other news, right. Lots. I
got my correspondence on it, Christian.
Okay, put your feelers out there. Let's talk about some more recruiting news. Ohio State continues to rack up recruits.
Killing it.
Vinny Kilkiri to Ohio State. They are killing it. This is a lightweight. This is a definite area of need for Ohio State. The Latrobe connection. You have to figure played a factor here for them landing Vinny Kilkiri. So a good get there for the Buckeyes. And then TJ Stewart to Virginia Tech. I didn't know that this was coming anytime soon. I know Tech thought they had a good shot at TJ, but there are obviously a lot of contenders for TJ's talents, and he's made his decision. He's going to Virginia Tech. David, anything to add on these commitments?
I mean, Kilkiri, like the Ohio State recruiting month they've had is just crazy. And I mean, it's longer than a month. It started a long time ago when they got Shoemate and Feldman, and Shoemate committed super early, but then Feldman committed. He's been committed for a long time, so you knew you had the makings of a special class. You get Bouzakis and Mendez. 2022 is insane, and then Kilkiri and Rocco Welsh in 23. I mean, they've got two classes back to back that are like potential program changers. Obviously, those guys need to pan out, but that's crazy. The TJ Stewart fit is really interesting. They could have Hunter Bolin back for 1 year next year, 84, which would allow TJ to have a year in the room with Hunter, which is great. And then they've got years of depth in the weight classes surrounding him. Mekhi Lewis at 74 has plenty of time left on the clock, and at 97, what's his name?
Andy
He just has
Smith.
he's crazy.
The GOAT, Andy Smith.
Andy Smith, but also who wrestled at Southeast Open this last weekend?
Cody Howard. Cody Howard.
Dakota Howard. He's going to be around for a while. So they've got a lot of they've got kind of what you want if you're thinking about partners. Like they've got guys who are going to be in the room for a long time around him, but a need in a year after his red shirt. So it's a pretty nice fit.
And they have our buddy the Horseman Jared Hott there to wrangle them all, whip them all into shape.
Wrangle them all.
Yeah.
Okay. The
other recruiting thing too, Zach Hansen committed to Stanford. That's another good get for Stanford. He's a 2023 guy, but they got Hunter Garvin like a couple weeks ago, and then last week Zach Hansen. So yeah, good stuff there.
And did Biskins commit to?
His commitment's coming out this afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Whoa. On Flow?
Do you know where he's going?
I know where he's going.
Oh man!
But I am sworn to secrecy.
You?
I'm sworn to secrecy. Yeah. I recorded a video with him, so I know where he's going.
All right. Well,
give us a hint.
No hints.
It's Division I.
None of our business until 5 o'clock, and then it's everybody's business.
That's a good one.
So we got news dumped by the PIAA or District 6 or whatever last week when they sanctioned this. I mean, you would have thought 20 to 36 months. What were they? What were the crimes here? I mean, I can't believe I'm reading a length of time that's substantial. For if you don't know, Bishop McCourt is soon to be one of the best, Pennsylvania high school wrestling teams or nationwide wrestling teams. Is where the Bassetts go. Sam Herring, Forrest, a lot of guys, right? The Gibson brothers. Well, they suspended Coach Bill Bassett for a year, and they are facing potential 36-month, which for you math majors, that's 3 years of no postseason competition. Well, I've never heard of such a thing. I mean, this is like an SMU level death penalty for a high school that, what is the actual, I'm genuinely asking curiously, is this just all about, hey, they went to Bishop McCourt and they've recruited wrestlers and it's just as simple as that they're trying to get wrestlers on their team and as a result they get suspended? Is it as simple as that, David?
But does the PIAA not put out what they found or what?
Was District 6? Yeah, go ahead, David.
Go ahead. Well, they said they have a 200-page document. It's not clear what's in that document, but that's interesting. Kind of hearsay is that it's like recruiting allegations, but there are things that seem maybe misinterpreted. There's going to be a really strong effort to appeal, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
I
mean, when I was texting with you when I saw this, Christian, and the thing for me is like these, I could think of so many things. So the WIA would be Wisconsin's, right? Just that we're just preposterous decisions because bureaucracy loves bureaucracy and they want to have power and they want to tell people what to do. And so, like, kind of like Valiant Prep did, or I said, if I do my thing, like, I'm going to take my ball and play in my own court. I'm not going to play by their rules. And so therefore they have no power over me. I mean, it feels like that's what these guys should do. They should just start their own school and do their own thing, because these governing bodies. I remember the most preposterous one in Wisconsin was a brother and a sister got in a fight, and they didn't. And they're both really good wrestlers, and they didn't let the brother wrestle at state that year, and he was ranked number 1 in the state. It's like ridiculous.
Well, what do you mean they got in a fight? Hold on. Wait,
well, it was the Lampies, right? Alyssa Lampy was a senior level wrestler. The brother and sister got in a fight at the house, and they didn't let the brother wrestle at state.
Okay, how would they know about that?
Listen, I don't want to get into it. Let's stick with Bishop McCourt. I'm just saying, I'm telling you, it was preposterous. It was like 15 years ago. I can tell you it was ridiculous. Now let's get back to what we're talking about.
Okay, well, someone's snitching in the I mean, they snitched on themselves, though. All right, anyways.
Anyways.
There's no way. Listen, me and my brother got in 56 fights. No one's that only gets out if people are talking about it. I don't understand. Anyways, you brought it up, so I'm allowed to be confused by that scenario. I think our guy Brock has like the best overall solution for this. Like, I don't understand how you can punish middle school kids to not wrestle. Like, it's like pre-crime almost. Like, what they're
pre-crime.
They're not even in the school yet, and they can't compete for 2-3 years. It's just such a. Why can't they let the kids wrestle? But maybe they can't count team scores. That's like Brock's solution. They don't count. All right, Bishop McCourt, you can't win states, but Bo Bassett can be a state champion. That to me seems fair. If you're worried about the competitive balance, if you're saying, hey, well, they shouldn't be able to take a state title from someone else. The bottom line is Bo Bassett's going to be wrestling in the state of Pennsylvania, PIAA. So I don't think it really. I think it's just. Maybe a little bit overly punitive. I don't know. I haven't read the 200-page document.
Can the kids go to other schools?
I don't think so. I mean, the Gibsons were at another school.
Could they go to national preps?
Yeah, they could go to Blair or Wyoming Seminary and be totally outside of the purview of PIAA. But I don't think that's what they want to do. Otherwise, they probably would have just done that. But the idea, and also, it's like these parents decide to move to a place. Okay, if my parents say we're moving, if I'm 13 or 14 years old, I'm moving. I'm not able to be like, well, hold on, is this a recruiting violation?
Tracy Piles has all kinds of recruiting violations on him.
No doubt, there's no question. So. If my parents say we're moving and you're going to this school, I'm 14. I'm going to this school now.
Yeah.
But now because it is a decision that's made completely outside of my power, I can't wrestle in the postseason. I don't understand that. That just doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, I hope there's a more reasonable punishment. I'm not saying this was like.
What about, could some of these kids go back to their home states and wrestle?
They could, but there's no way the Herrings aren't moving back to Tennessee for this.
Okay. I heard Tennessee's a wonderful place.
It is a wonderful place. Tennessee's awesome.
I think the example that kind of really encapsulates what's going on here. The one student athlete is Eric Gibson. Look at this guy's high school career. As a sophomore, he was at Forest Hills. He was injured at the state tournament, and I think that was in a semi, so he ended up finishing 6th. Then last year, he was ruled ineligible because of the transfer. Now, this year, he'll be a senior, and he won't get to wrestle in the Pennsylvania State tournament. And he'll have ended up, wrestling at PIAAs once, I think, placed once, and then he doesn't get to kind of go down in Pennsylvania history. He doesn't get to throw his hat in the ring. Then when you think about, like, what is the point of this penalty? If the point is to, like, teach this guy a lesson or something, I don't know if it's really teaching anybody anything. Eric Gibson is a Cornell recruit. He's ranked nationally. That hasn't changed at all because he was ineligible for high school. And he's still, performed at national level tournaments, placing at Fargo, Super 32, Powerade, on and on and on. And one of the things that I would be thinking about if I was part of the PIAA was like, are we making ourselves irrelevant as an organization by keeping some of the best kids out? And if so, is that something we should reinvestigate? Is that something that we should really think about? Because I mean, it sucks for Eric Gibson that he doesn't get to wrestle with his team at the state championship, which is a really cool event and a really big, important event. But it's not like that's hurt his prospects or anything. I mean, it made that bracket a little bit less competitive. So I don't know. I don't like with where wrestling is now. If you're, I don't know what you accomplish by keeping these kids out.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it goes back to again, like bureaucracies and power, and they love it. We go back to someone like the NCAA or the IOC, which is a higher level bureaucracy than the PIAA, and that's like think about them keeping kids or making kids ineligible for really minor amounts. I mean, I think about the Fresno State guy last year who a coach's girlfriend lent him like $300 to pay parking tickets because he couldn't register for classes, of which he paid back all of it. But that's a violation. Like what did that teach anyone? He paid back his loan. He needed help from a friend. A friend gave him help. It's not like, it's just a stupid freaking rule. And so you look at these state associations, and I guess maybe because I don't compete at that level, I'm just thinking about coaching all of the kids. I don't think much about kids moving between schools or anything like that. But a lot of these guys think like transferring and power teams, like that's the end of the world. It's going to be terrible. Everyone's going to do it. It's going to be the end of the PIAA as we know it. And so we got to stop them. I mean, that's how they think. Like you have to put yourself in. Now, I don't like their perspective. I think it's really bad perspective. But you got to think like, what are they thinking? That's the narrative that they've constructed for themselves. If we allow these high school coaches to recruit, then this is gonna be so bad for the sport. It's gonna be the end of this and the end of that, and we can't let them do that. So we got to do a harsh punishment to show them they're not doing that.
So one of the sticking points for the case, I guess, against Bishop McCourt and Coach Bill Bassett is the club element, that he runs a club, the compound, and that somehow that seems to be a sticking point for the PIAA's case against them, that, hey, you can't have a club coach that's also a high school coach.
So you can't do that in Wisconsin also. And
Right.
People generally, for the most part, abide by it in Wisconsin. I mean,
Yeah.
Like Jody Strickmatter is another stupid rule, though.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you're essentially punishing coaches that want to put more time and effort into their kids, which if you have a coach, and this, again, you go back to think of like, what are they thinking? And it's like, well, if we have coaches who are encouraging kids to do more seasons of their sport, then they're going to do less other sports. And that's going to be bad because then kids are just going to be one sport athletes, and one sport athletes are terrible. Like that. I mean, that's literally what these people, I'm telling you, that's what they're thinking.
Really?
Yeah, yes, people say that. People said that to me about my club. They're like, yeah, but now you're encouraging kids to do less sports. That's so bad for them. Like, I've had people come at me, many people, because we encourage our guys not to do Greco. Like, oh, you're bad. You're not letting them do Greco. That's so dumb. Now they're not competing. It's like, okay, you know what? Just because we choose to wrestle another style, like you don't like that, sorry, get lost.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what these people are thinking. That's a narrative they're creating for themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty separate thing. We could talk about the Greco thing, but yeah, I guess that's the long and short of it. Hopefully that gets appealed, and there's a agreement between both sides. Because right now I think it's a little out. They really threw the book at them.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were paying guys or something, that would be something. That when I see 36 months, I think like, dude, we're just like writing checks. That's where my mind goes. Or like, there's got to be some real benefits given here that just aren't the case, I don't think.
My understanding is that Bishop McCourt does not have any athletic-based scholarships or financial aid. That's my understanding.
Okay. Ben, do you just, when people say you're trying to make people just one sport athletes, do you tell them that you are a star nose tackle?
I say, listen, these are the times. And at the end of the day, what do we want youth sports to do for kids? We want youth sports to build good character. So when they move on to the rest of their life, they can use those skills that they develop to help them be better at life. That's what we want. So I don't give a damn if they're doing it in 3 sports or 1 sport. Doesn't really matter to me. It is very rare where I try to convince a kid to not do other sports. I mean, that's happened like 2 or 3 times. Mostly it's like, hey, if you want to do that, go do that. We're here year round. There's plenty of kids who want to wrestle year round. I'll coach those kids. And there's been a couple cases where I've been like, hey man, you're about to have that breakthrough moment. Like if you put a little more time into this, we're going to get it. So let's consider maybe not doing that other thing. Like that's happened a couple times, but not very many times.
Would you tell Caleb Piles to stop playing baseball for the Pflugerville Astros?
He's only like 9. Hell no. I mean, I've had those conversations in high school, maybe, or if a kid comes to me and they say, "Well, at 12 or 13, this happened. Hey, I want to go get a Division I college scholarship. What do I got to do?" And I said, "Well, it's going to take a lot of time and effort, and here's what we're going to have to do." But again, when we think about what do we want youth sports to provide for our kids, that's it. We want them to learn discipline, work ethic, perseverance. Those are the things. That's what we want them to get out of it. It doesn't matter if they're playing 1 sport, 3 sports, 7 sports. Doesn't matter. As long as they get those qualities, they get those qualities.
Yeah. I'd be curious to know what percentage of 125 through, let's say, 165-ish athletes did 1 sport, wrestling, versus if you look at maybe the podium or NCAA qualifiers, like how many of them specialize. So if you have a goal of Division I, like you see it, obviously I excluded the heavyweights because many of them play football, especially at heavyweight.
Well,
itself.
really, I would even say like, so obviously those kids grow, right? So at the high school level, you're probably saying 170 and above. Generally, so if you're a 170-pound high school kid and above, and you're reasonably athletic, you're going to have success in almost all sports. You'll be able to play varsity. It's going to be in the wheelhouse for you. If you're a 106 to 120-pound high school kid, like you could do cross country, maybe track. Like you're not going to be a starter on the football team. You're not going to, you're not going to be a superstar in other sports. And then those kids, so, when they're younger, when they're middle school kids and they're, 75, 80, 90 pounds, like what other sports can they play really well? And the answer is like not very many. And so they're very much more likely to want to come wrestle more, because otherwise in football, they're just sitting on the bench. That's not fun, so they'll come wrestle more. So we obviously have a lot more little guys because of that.
Okay. We had the episode 1 of the top 100 came out. I don't know if you got to check it out yet, Ben, but we put the first 10 in order there. You're not on that list, Ben. I'm sorry to say. I don't know if you're in the top 100 or not, but you're not in there. What were your thoughts so far? You're the only person on FRL that has a chance. Sorry, David, to get in this list, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought it was a good list. I love. Listen, I know you guys worked really hard. I kind of wish they were longer. I wish you guys could talk more about these people. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And same thing. I think you guys had one guy that was kind of really out of the era in there.
Bill Cole.
And that's kind of Bill Cole. That was who it was. Yes, which I heard
he's so awesome.
I heard he was such a badass, but that was,
dude.
Like, how do you got no matches? You got nothing.
He mat returned people just to concuss them.
Is that true? Do we know that's true? Because we don't have any matches.
Listen, all we have is what is said. The folklore. It's almost better. This guy stormed the beaches of Normandy for this great nation, and then come back and mat returned. If this is not Shane Sparks' favorite wrestler of all time, I mean, the guy, a true patriot. Matt returned so much that they had to change the rules that you can't just slam dudes on their face.
We know that's real.
It was said. That makes it real.
It was said.
They changed the rule. They literally wrote a new rule.
what do you think he was doing to concuss them? Was he trapping their arm? Because obviously that's dangerous. Or was there some other trick he had where invert their feet up over their head? Like, what was he doing? I'm so curious now.
Tombstones, maybe. We don't know. There's no video. Cameras didn't exist.
Oh yeah, I love that. That was great,
dude. What a legend! My gosh.
I know they do have some really. I don't know if it's as old as Bill Cole. I can tell you at the Hall of Fame in Stillwater, they do have some really old film where you can like pick them out and watch certain old matches. I've done it before. I don't know if they go as old as Bill Cole.
Yeah. So yeah, it was cool. It's funny to the conversation it started is as people we knew going in, like, man, we are just gonna get nitpicked to death. There's no order that could satiate anyone because look right. You have Bill Cole next to James Green, next to Daniel Cormier. Like it's just insane comparing eras, comparing styles, comparing all across the board.
Insane.
So it's really tough to do. So you have to figure out, you want to give high weight to folk style, NCAA. You want to give high weight to domestic senior and high weight to domestic international. So you're trying to weigh all these things. And so it's really tough. And you have a legend like Brent Metcalf, number 100, which, I mean, that's an honor, but he doesn't have a senior level medal.
I kind of thought Metcalf would be higher.
Well, no medals hurts. 2 champs is good. He was dominant, but I think as the list plays out, I think it'll make more sense. You have someone like James Green, who's a multiple medalist and has made umpteen teams. Yeah, I mean, there's a case, but look right there. Zane Rutherford is two ahead of him. He couldn't be much ahead of Zane or even ahead of Zane. Zane was more credentialed at 149.
But that's why I don't want to make an argument against myself, but I don't know that I deserve, if I'm on this list, I don't know that I deserve to be any higher than these guys. Like, I feel like that I'm kind of comparable with where they're at. Not to argue against myself.
But if you're on there, theoretically, being an Olympian has tremendous weight.
Okay.
And also a high level of dominance against your field has tremendous
Zane
weight.
Was also. That's another one where Zane was.
Yes.
So obviously Zane is still wrestling, so he could continue to move up.
He could.
Yeah. Oh, Ross Patton's, he's mad about Metcalf at 100. He said without knowing 90 through 0 or 90 through 1, he says it's a travesty.
Move him up one spot. How do you get him ahead of Guerrero?
And Shane Sparks wants to give Bill Cole a statue.
I'm for it. It should be at Flow Sports headquarters. He could be the official wrestler of Flow Sports for all I care. Yeah, I mean
the best criticism I've
Kozak. I'm gonna fire. Can I fire Kozak again?
We can get HR involved, sure.
He said NCAA is an age level competition, and while that is obviously true, I mean, it is one of the most comparable things because this is something that nearly everyone on your list went through, right? And depending on the era, some people may or may not have continued to wrestle internationally, or the international careers were different lengths, but everyone has the same length of NCAA career. So that's a really good area where you can kind of compare how everyone did with each other. And the other thing is, which is unfortunate, they do not compete in folk style at the world level, which I wish they would, because obviously for some of us, like myself, folk style suits me significantly better than freestyle does. So I would like to compete at folk style on the world stage. I realize that's never going to happen, obviously, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to, because some people who freestyle suits them better, they're going to obviously appear to be better, but it's just a style that suits them better. They may not be a better wrestler, right, if you combine both styles, but at a world level, they're doing better because that style suits them more.
Yeah, and the sentence you said is the exact thing I said when we were doing this list, just to remind me, NCAA folk style is great because almost all the people in this list did it. It's a great measuring stick for it. And it'll be more and more fun as more lists come out. We have one coming out this Thursday, which will be
nice. It's every Thursday. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, every Thursday we have an episode coming out, and then usually the day after, Kyle Klingman has a little article breaking down, diving into the credentials a little more. So, like you said, it's nice to slow down, dive into these guys a little more. You can do that with the article, read about them. So it's pretty cool. But my favorite criticism that I saw was on Twitter, and that was in response to your tweet about it, CP. And who was it? Some guy said, what's the point of all of this?
What is the point of this? He was really confused that we would even do something like this. Like, just a video, just some videos, just I don't know, start a conversation, maybe honor some wrestlers that don't really get the pub. Like, no one is talking about Mike Houck or Bill Cole very often in wrestling, but I think it's good to put some of these lesser known names in the conversation, like Ira Smith. Yeah, it cracked me up when this guy was like, "Why are you doing this? What's the point?" It's just
what
wrestling
awesome
videos.
Take on.
Yeah, shout out, man! The work that Bader and Klingman put into this, and really Bray and Kozak.
I think Ross Patton's mad about the Metcalf thing, but he does have a point. Like, so now we're going to go into all the variables, Christian. All of the variables. We are just dissecting them, discussing them.
Yes.
Listen, if you want to break down the difficulty, this is a true fact. If you want to break down the difficulty of an American placing at the world and or Olympic championships at, say, 97 or whatever that weight class is, like the second one, and the heavyweight, versus American placing at 65 kilograms. It is so much easier for an American to place at a higher weight class than it is at 65. What do you think about that?
Well, hold on. You don't get to say because it hasn't happened that it's harder to do.
Well, crap, I do too. It's statistically.
No, that's not what that means,
man.
It
is. It is what it means.
No, because we have Kyle Snyder at 97 kilograms. That's the difference. If we were rolling out someone else,
Jake Varner medaled and Cormier medaled, and pretty much all of the guys medaled at those weight classes.
That doesn't mean that 65 is inherently more difficult. Necessarily.
Yeah, of course it does.
Just because
we can't get a medal there. We have all these good dudes. We got Zane, we got Brent, we got all these good dudes, and we can't get one freaking medal there. That means it's tougher, for sure. It is definitely harder for an American to get a medal at those weight classes. The weight classes are not as deep as they get bigger. I don't know. Japan just ain't got big dudes or something. I don't know what their problem is. They suck up high, right? It is. Listen, I'm not trying to belittle these guys. I'm just trying to define the variables. If you're a bigger guy, say 90 kg and above, it's easier to medal at the Worlds than it is as a 65 kg guy, for sure.
Yeah, I just don't agree that the presence of American medals means that it's easier to medal there. It's just like sometimes
so obviously
we have Kyle and Jaden. We have Kyle and Jaden and David Taylor at those weights. That's the difference.
But before that, go back. We've always had historically more medals. Go before that. Go the last 30 years. We've always done well at those weight classes.
Yeah.
Think about it. So we have Varner. Before that, who do we have between? So Cormier was obviously 03 through 08. Who do we have there? We're historically doing really well at those upper weight classes, and historically, we're not doing very well at So obviously, when you go to more, I think when you went, we got the. What was it? Well, back in the day, there was the 105, which was real weird. That was strange for an adult male. But we'll just say the one right now, it's 125, 143, and then all the way up to 163, which it's an absurd gap. It really is at the Olympic level. And that was the weight class for a while. But when you went 25, 36, 45, 52, 54, whatever that is, when you have those gaps, makes it a little easier. But when you had that 25, 43, 63, that was so ridiculous. And yes, it was preposterously hard to medal at 65 kilograms for an American. Because I think if I took out the Olympic international level stuff and I just said, hey, let's rate these wrestlers, who's better based on college level competition. And I threw at you Metcalf and Zane and Yanni and J.O., you would rate those guys equally as high as you would a lot of the 97s. I mean, maybe you'd give Kyle the nod a little bit, but the reason you're probably giving Kyle the nod a little bit is because of his international stuff.
Yes, that is true. I mean, we've had success back when it was 62, 68, 63. We were bringing home a lot of medals.
I wish we had I wish we could look through the whole list right now so we could actually have like a real good argument. I mean, because obviously, yes, John Smith and Kendall and Terry and Tom Brands, but then you go back to the era. Well, there's only one Soviet in there, which that obviously makes the weight classes less deep, therefore easier to get a medal.
Yeah,
so many variables. I told you we're talking about all of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, there's if Brent had just been making team after team after team after team,
yeah,
I think that would have got him higher. But he stopped in 2016. He made the team in 13, 14. Oh no, what were the years? He made it in 13, 14,
15, I think.
15. He made those 3 years, and he may have made it 1 year prior, somewhere in there.
Maybe 11 or something.
He lost to Taeyeon one time. He lost. Here, I'm looking. I know in 12, he obviously wasn't on the team.
10, 13, 14, 15.
10. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. So he had 4 teams. That's a lot. It's a lot of teams. He's good. Listen, he's good. It's really good. Brent Metcalf's a legend. Okay. JD Rader is possibly, hopefully on his way back to Austin, Texas. He booked a direct flight, Spirit Air, from Belgrade to Austin, so he should be here in no time.
Spirit Air is out of Belgrade. Tremendous.
Yeah, direct, Belgrade to.
You get the most travel time for the money.
Yep, you love it. So he'll be back tomorrow. Big Tone stole the show, man. He was breaking dudes at U23s, U23 world champion. He looks fantastic. Our boy Ivan out of Russia said, "Who is this monster you guys have?" He didn't know about Big Tone, but man, he looked.
Now it's
impressive.
Tone.
Yeah, we got to stick with that. Shout out KJ Pilcher for that one. We're gonna try to utilize that one. But man, he looked really good, and just adds to the legend of this heavyweight class we have with Gable, Mason, Colton Schultz.
To my point. We can't not win medals at heavyweight right now.
Yeah.
We're winning all of the medals. All of them.
Greco, freestyle, cadet, junior, U23s, Olympics.
Women's? Are we winning women's heavyweight too?
Adeline Gray. She wins them all.
What about the age levels? Are we winning there?
Kylie and Kennedy are upperweight wrestlers.
She heavyweight? Having
tremendous. Well, they're up there. They're certainly upper weights.
Okay.
Yeah. Kylie just won a U23 bronze medal at 76 kilos.
Oh, so that is the biggest weight.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have
that's
strong
right. You made that
USA.
tweet. You made that tweet, Christian. That was pretty absurd.
Yeah, that's just in the Big Ten.
Just in the Big Ten.
You factor in Colton Schultz in the Pac-12. He's a cadet world champion. It's he's a senior world team member. It's pretty insane. So yeah, that was exciting stuff there. Do we want to get to some questions before we go?
Yeah. I never got the doc today, so I've been kind of flying blind a little bit.
Oh, snap.
I'm having fun over here.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're out of our routine with JD not here. I apologize to all of you that had to wait. I forget which day it was. I forgot to upload the show so you could listen to it on your dang cell phones, which is
how rude.
The vast majority of you. Well, it wasn't exactly rudeness. It was just what we could call it idiocy, and forgetfulness. That would be a little more appropriate. So I forgot, but I will remember to remember today. That is my quest to you. Okay. Question here from Pops Redfoot. Gable and Kale are the two most successful coaches in recent NCAA history and have two very contrasting coaching styles. What do you think wrestling would be like today if the order had been reversed and, quote, fun Kale had come before grind Gable? This is a very Ben Askren specific question in my mind, so I'm curious for your thought.
You know what? I didn't read all of the question. I should have. I think I saw it last night, maybe on Twitter. I feel like for what America was like, just the Gable era was at the right time. I don't know that the Kale thing would have taken. The thing is, I know Kale, they have a high level of secrecy. Like, I think they grind a little bit too. Like, I think those dudes love wrestling and they work really hard. So I think the fun is made a little too forefront there for them. And it's kind of maybe to throw everyone off the scent of what they're really doing. I think as a country, we're learning to wrestle a little more, and you see that coming through at the world level for sure. There was an era. And this is, I don't think, and this is, I think I was taking out of context, or maybe people don't understand my argument, but like Gable people mimicking Gable weren't able to do what he did. I think Gable probably, while he focused on conditioning, he also had a high level of technical proficiency within his coaching style, and other people who mimicked him didn't. They focused just on the conditioning, and that was it. And I think that did us a little disservice for a while. And so now we're mixing. We obviously still have great cardio. We still break dudes, but now we have a high level of technical proficiency also.
Yeah, I think Gable has been marginalized. I think Kale has been marginalized. I think they've both been sort of marginalized as coaches, right?
What do you mean by that exactly?
Okay, well, I think people try to put Gable in this box of all he did was they just went live and ran stadiums and just did hardcore stuff and cut tons of weight and did everything the hardest way possible to the nth degree possible. When I don't think that was actually the case. I do think there was a lot of hard work and there was a lot of maybe what would be considered old school stuff. But I think part of Gable's genius was his malleability of his philosophy from athlete to athlete. I think it was Bannock was one of the guys. He's like, no, this dude only wrestles live and he only comes in. That's all he's doing. And that was the plan for this guy. And the plan for Tom and Terry Brands was different than it was for Alger, than it was for Ironside, for Mena, for McElravy. Like McElravy, he had these concussion problems and Gable did some different unique things with him. So I think he wasn't just that. I think that's how he's been marginalized. Yeah. And I think Kale has been marginalized. So like, we have hour-long practices and 30 minutes of dodgeball, and then we spar for a little bit and go home. It's like, that is not what is happening there. These guys are savages.
Come on, bro.
These guys are savages. They train like crazy, and I think Kale's thing is he's really thoughtful about the work, and I think there is a real focus on not overtraining for sure, and they focus on periodization. They do have ways and methods that are certainly beneficial to them, but it's not just like the work's being done there, and there's suffering happening at Happy Valley, right? So that's my thing, and I think the answer is both would have transcendent success in any era, I believe, because they're adaptable winners, and they didn't just win one certain way. And I think the best question is, what happens if they both coach against each other in the same era?
Oh, let's do it.
That's the question.
What if we did let's piss everyone off, Christian. What if we did a Gable Dream Team versus Kale Dream Team?
That would be fun. Can Kale be on his own team? Can he draft himself?
No. Someone they coached. That would be fun.
This will be fun. All right, let's
get legends. No.
Man. But having them coach against each other, having them coach against each other will be so interesting because I want to see what those recruiting battles look like. I want to see who ends up on what team. I want to see like all those things,
Yeah, that's
true. Because you don't have the 2010s era wrestlers going against the 90s era wrestlers. Like you've got different 90s wrestlers on different teams now, and that's very interesting.
Yeah. So that would be so much fun. I'm so in for that. I think you nailed it, Christian. And that's just kind of people in general. A lot of people don't like thinking hard, and so they like oversimplifying things. And I think there's a certain level of complexity to both Gable and Kale that most people miss because they like that simplicity. And that's why I say, like, the Gable mimics, the people who are trying to mimic him without actually understanding what he was doing, it did a little bit of a disservice to wrestling.
Yeah, look at how many Bill Belichick coaches have been NFL head coaches, and they think they're getting these organizations think they just hired Bill Belichick because he was there. Don't confuse proximity to greatness with greatness. There's a different sort of thing going on there.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things about this question, and who could the Cael era have come first or whatever? Gable's story as an athlete, I think, really helped propel people to be attracted to his style as a coach. Because the whole story about Gable, I mean, he was a mainstream wrestler, maybe the first, and people are like, man, look at this guy. He as a high school kid was running with a backpack full of books and picking up bricks and doing all this super, super hard work. Yep. And then that was the same way that he coached. The difference with Cael is there was not this story that Cael is this happy-go-lucky, just lighthearted, like does everything super fun, like the different way from all the other wrestlers. It was just he was really, really good and he was winning so much and nobody could beat him. So then when he's coaching and all of a sudden people are talking about fun, it was surprising. It wasn't like, I don't think everybody predicted that as the thing that was going to be the major narrative coming out of his first NCAA championship teams. So that's a big difference that, like, I don't know, just like narrative wise, I think people really wanted to buy into what Gable was selling at that time on the heels of the 70s, where I don't know that they would have been as willing to buy into that kind of mentality. If Cael had come along first.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, question from Tommy. Does Iowa run away with the team title this year, or does Penn State, with Nikki push-ups, make a hard push if he chooses Penn State? I don't think Penn State can probably win without that kind of title contending infusion to their team. Iowa is just they're so stacked this year. You can't rule it out, but just because it's Penn State and they're in the conversation, they're going to have, how many title contenders are they going to have? 33, 41, 74, 84,
97.
So that's 4, and then 97's a maybe, and then I won't give them can't say heavyweight though. Maybe they Kirkfleet is,
they could place high.
He could place high for sure. So 4 title contenders, maybe 5.5. So that makes it interesting, but the drop off that I think Iowa would have to not win is something outside of what I think is possible.
Some injuries or some ineligibility or something like that.
Yeah, some dumb COVID thing jamming them up. And hopefully that doesn't happen. So I think they're going to be tough. I mean, Michigan's a team in consideration, but
Michigan's going to be good.
Iowa's just going to be really tough to beat this year. I'm really
Arizona State's going to be good.
Yep. Michigan, Arizona State, no question. Oklahoma State could be interesting as well. I'm really excited for next year's team race already. As great as this one's going to be, next year's going to be fascinating.
Stop it. I hate it when you guys do this crap. Like, let's enjoy this year. Don't wish the years away. Soon Caleb Pile's going to be 18 years old moving out.
Oh, don't remind me.
A sap because you're wishing these years away.
Oh, don't remind me. I think about that every day. Just like, they're growing up. 10 and 8 years old. It's like, getting me emotional. All right. Here's a last question. Which teams have the biggest potential to move up in the rankings? I'm curious for your read.
I'm going to pull your NCAA rankings up and let me see. NCAA rankings. Go to team. See where your team tournament. Let's see. Iowa's good. Penn State. So we need someone lower because, it's obvious. You guys got Missouri at 14, so it's obviously Missouri.
That is probably a really good one.
It's a good guess.
Not just because you're a total homer, but
total homer.
I think
UNI at 20 feels a little bit low.
You're just looking at the teams where your wrestlers wrestle.
Well, I mean, they've historically, they've been better than 20. Let's see, North Dakota State, Duke. I'm looking at teams who are lower, obviously, because they can jump more levels.
Cornell at Michigan 10 feels like they could move up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. They definitely could.
Cornell with Yanni, Vito, the GOAT Ben Darmstadt. We like Foca. There's another big name I'm missing in there.
Good. I like the heavyweight Luis Fernandez.
Fernandez is good.
Like
they could have a really good team. I like Ohio State could, if they end up wrestling Patty, and they have some guys that could climb up the ranks a little more. Someone like Carson Karchla could be scoring a lot more points than he's currently ranked to score.
Who is Ohio State can have finish super high though? Because I feel like they have a lot of good guys, but between 25, 41, 57, 74,
33.
84, 97. So those 33 don't have anyone right now. But yeah, so I was gonna say those guys, even heavyweight, I feel like they're like 8 through 15 guys, or 7 through 15.
Right.
Like the chance they move way up to a 2 or 3 is not big.
So I don't know about a 2 or 3, but Karchla right now is at 12. If he ended up 5th or somewhere in there, you excluded him. Okay, so 74, Smith's at 6. I don't see him moving a lot from that. 84, Rocky Jordan's 15, but if Romero gets in there, I could see him hanging with some of those.
Dude, 84 I don't know, is freaking stacked.
84 is super stacked, but if he beats Dakota Gear, I don't think I'm shocked. If he gets a win over Poznanski, I'm not shocked at that.
But then you guys you can see him finishing lower because you guys got like Vens, Nelson Brands. I mean, those guys are down there lower, which could bump up also.
Well, you mentioned Nelson. All the Iowa media has been super Assad heavy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's in all the posters and stuff, I'm pretty sure, which sort of surprised me. Well, obviously, I'm not surprised that it's that's a very real competition. I'm surprised how Assad forward they've been, and maybe it means nothing. Maybe Nelson wasn't available on that day, but sometimes all you can do is read into stuff. So I think my answer is Cornell, last and final. I think they can move up significantly. I think they've got some strong title contenders, and ultimately we know that's what really moves you up.
Yes.
Okay. Also, West Virginia, they're going to climb. Check it out. All right. Good show, if I do say so myself. Fun one. We'll be talking more about the D1 results and the happenings. We'll be back in our home, which is just like 20 feet that way, after reality TV concludes. This is going to be, you guys are going to love this. I know you're like jiu-jitsu, whatever. This is going to be a really cool thing, this reality show we're doing. It's going to be awesome. Like nothing we've ever done before. And the idea is that one day we do it in wrestling. So watch it, juice those numbers, and they'll be like, we could do this on wrestling. And then you'll see wrestlers, and it'll be awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Ben. Thanks to David. Thanks especially to you for listening. Thanks for all of you watching so much wrestling on Flow this weekend. That was great. And more to come. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow.
Peace.